Hi, Dr. Starr.
Hi. Hi, guys.
I'm going to dive right into this question because it came up a couple of times and someone even private messaged me, and it was about the liver, right? We've got these livers that have a lot going on in them, a lot of other medications that are taking precedence to be digested and worked through. What's the best way to cleanse the liver? And a lot of people feel like x-rays, MRIs, everything that they're going through, and tamoxifen is taking a big toll on their liver. Can they still cleanse that while being on these medications?
Yeah, I think my favorite way is acupuncture in that way, because there's no worries about, using herbal detoxes and things like that can be a little intense on your system and can be draining. And also sometimes drugs and herbs have interactions. So I like acupuncture because it's an energetic way, and it just encourages your liver to start cleansing itself. There's also things like, just coffee enemas or the Epsom salt baths, all those kinds of things. But I would be careful around doing the herbal spring cleanses too often, just because there's a lot of it drains your system, and a lot of people who are have been through that process of possible chemo and just through the ringer as far as drugs and medications, and your system gets weakened. And I think that I would look at more strengthening your energy than anything, because the toxicity that I was talking about before that creates this perfect storm of malignancy is already in there. It's pretty deep. It's not just in your liver. Your liver cleanses on a daily basis. It's detoxing daily, but there's still some old toxins in there, which you can work on slowly but surely, but it doesn't happen really fast. And really the source, most important, is to strengthen your earth element, your spleen and stomach, that digestive system element, so that you're creating more and more energy and vitality in your system every day. I can't hear you now. Oh.
Thank you. That's perfect.
Love that. Okay, so next question comes from Vero. Vero, are you there? Did you want to pop on?
All right. I'm here.
Hi again. Welcome back.
The lady with lots of questions. That's
I love it.
Hi.
Hi.
My question was completely not related to anything medical. I was gonna ask you if you get to go to Baldface a lot.
Oh, I've actually never been to Baldface. It's in my backyard, but I guess can't foot the bill.
Definitely make it there. Vera, you did have another question here in the chat about supplements.
Oh yeah, if you were to pick one supplement, like only one, which one would you pick?
Yeah, not a big believer in one fix-all or one supplement for across the board, because I really see that there's so many individuals. But I guess if I had to, it would be mushrooms.
Mushrooms, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
See you, Vero.
Okay, next question comes from Kelly Marie. Are you out there with us, Kelly?
Hi. I feel like you kind of answered it for me with regard to the detox, but I did wonder if you had any more information about, with regard to when we do, like, to doing a tea or, doing like the tea liver cleanses or detox. Do you have any thoughts about that with regard to the tamoxifen or the antidepressants we are taking and that impact on the liver?
Yeah, I mean, St. John's wort is one you would have to be careful of, because it can nullify your medication. And there's so much gray area as far as which herb and which drugs interact in a lot of places there. I wouldn't go on too many herbal liver detoxes unless you have guidance with someone who's checking the rest of your vitals and making sure that you're strong enough to handle it.
Okay.
Because all detoxes are draining to some level. And the best time to do like a detox is the spring.
Okay. Good to know.
Just right now it's coming into, I don't know where you live, but if you're coming into winter season, then it's good to start just nourishing yourself.
Okay.
But I know it might not be where you're at in your journey. Like you might have just taken in a whole load of chemo or something like that, in which case, have you ever heard of the coffee enemas?
No. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, the caffeine and things works differently coming from the GI tract than it does when you ingest it, right? So you don't want to do it all the time, but a little bit can help the liver get rid of dying off cancer cells. So that's part of the toxicity. It's not just, I don't know your story, but it's not just the chemo and the medications or the tamoxifen. It's also the dying cells of cancer has become a toxic load on the liver.
Oh, okay.
And so you can use like just a tiny little bit of organic coffee. You cook it on the stove, not like in your coffee maker, but you actually cook it like a herbal remedy, you know, for like 45 minutes.
Okay.
And then you use that and you strain it and you use an enema bag, you know. You can give yourself an enema that way and you sit with it for 15 minutes or so and then you have to go to the bathroom.
Cleanses that way.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah. So
That's
look into it, study up on it a little bit more, but that's one interesting way. There's some like juice cleanses, you know, cilantro and celery are good liver cleanses that are just super gentle. And, and you know, you could have that in your food or as in your juices and things like that as a pretty steady thing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there was these, I'm just going to say that, there was like these organic detox teas that have, fennel, peppermint leaf, cinnamon, star anise, and whole pepper. And I just didn't know like what your thought in green tea and whether that's like something to have that with when I'm taking tamoxifen and venlafaxine, you know, an antidepressant, if that's a bad thing to be taken at the same time, and if that's going to interrupt the effectiveness of the tamoxifen in my,
Is it just
liver.
A tea bag that you pour hot water on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And did you say that licorice was part of that?
The licorice root was in one other type of tea, but it's not in this one. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
Star anise? Is star anise a licorice?
It's licorice flavor, but it's not licorice. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's fine because it's just a tea. It's very mild. So your drugs are way, way, way stronger than that.
Okay.
So anytime it's just a tea bag or something, it's pretty light.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the information. It's really helpful. And the 3 factors that you discussed, I just never even heard that before. That's really helpful. And I have been getting some acupuncture and that's been really helpful too. So thank you for mentioning that being effective too, because it's good to know.
So I just find looking into where those 3 factors might have come into play for you down the road, like before, and then looking at what changes might need to happen in order to turn that around. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I was taking the acupuncture for bone pain. I didn't realize the acupuncture had liver detox effects. So that's super helpful to know. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks for my question answer.
Yeah. Have a great day.
I'm in California, by the way.
California. Okay. So it's just hot all the time.
Yeah.
Well, just really quick before we, on that subject, we had somebody reach out about, liver mats and what's a supportive therapy that you can do for liver mats. Would those coffee enemas be considered somewhat gentle and supportive if somebody did have liver mats?
Sorry, 1 second. Mitch, I'm busy.
Mom life.
Liver mats, sorry.
Yeah, liver mats. If somebody does have liver mats, would those coffee enemas be something that's gentle and supportive, or what would you suggest that could be supportive for liver mats?
You have to explain liver mets. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Like metastases, like if somebody.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Yeah,
metastases.
sorry.
No, I would only do that with guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah, only with guidance. Yeah,
that's a big subject when somebody's managing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Acupuncture is a good way with liver metastasis to help the liver. It just does not, because it's so energetic, you're not dealing with an internal thing that's going to the internal medicine is more complicated to self-prescribe when you're in that kind of situation. So it's better to have some guidance with it for sure.
Great. Thank you for that. Camille, are you available?
Oh, yeah. I was asking, sorry, I was really into that last answer too. I got checked.
I can read it for you if you want.
No, it's okay. So actually, because I didn't hear the answer. Did you say that coffee enema would not be advised with liver mets? Is that what you said?
Well,
With
I
liver
just wouldn't do it across the board. I wouldn't suggest
Got
just
it.
go for it. I would say check with the people you're working with
Right.
and just see if it's appropriate for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so my
I wouldn't
actual
just, I would take it with care. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The question I was asking though, you mentioned strengthening the spleen. Sorry, instead of a bunch of like detoxes, try strengthening the spleen, the stomach.
Yeah.
I love that idea, but haven't heard it phrased that way. How do you strengthen a spleen or stomach?
Yeah. That's a great question. So it's interesting because it's not always one thing. And we think about digestion, we think about food right away. But many people have this cancer story and they have an amazing diet, like organic food. It's always warm, doing all of this care in their food and their diet because it's the easiest thing for us to change. The picture of the earth element and the spleen and stomach is bigger than that. It's how you digest things in your life. It's if you worry and overthink. It's if you've had a lot of antibiotics in your past, that freezes your digestive system. So there's something to do there to warm it up. The digestive system likes warm foods, simple foods, not too saucy, not too oily, and definitely not frozen. So it's a bit of a gradual process of doing that kind of thing of like eating warm soups are always good. Like you can't really go wrong there. I like to also suggest some herbs that are just food cooking herbs that help. Like a lot of the Ayurvedic or Indian foods are stimulating to that digestive system and they wake up the spleen if it's gotten cold or asleep, basically is what happens. It gets kind of like sluggish and asleep. So things like cardamom and cinnamon and ginger and fennel and anise, they're all good. They're called aromatic herbs and they help sort of get it stimulated and wake it up again. And then you have to look at your personal situation. Are you a worrier? Do you overthink? And how are your boundaries? Have you been just like giving to everyone all of this time and not receiving? That is another big piece in that whole earth element scenario. And lots of moms are over givers to the detrimental state. So it's really important thing, and it doesn't happen quickly or easily, but you can just keep your eye on that. And if you're feeling like your interactions with people enliven you and make you feel good, then that's a good giving situation and there's some receiving coming back. If you feel drained afterwards, then you probably just wasted a lot of your energy and it's not helping that. We call it the earth element, which is your spleen and stomach, that digestive piece.
Thank you.
So there's a few factors and it's like, it takes a little bit of just investigative work to figure out where the key one is for you personally. Yeah.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot. I took a lot of notes. Thank you.
Yeah. The boundaries one and the giving and receiving. The earth element's natural propensity is to give, but also to receive, right? Just, it's all about food and nourishing and how we take care of others. And that actually feels really good, the caring and the giving, but it can't always be going outward. It also, you have to give to yourself and receive caring from others. And so there's all those factors.
Yeah.
That's a big subject as well. I feel like in this community, more often than not, it's a conversation that we have, and to us, giving feels good. Giving
Yeah.
feels great. It's what keeps us, alive in a lot of ways is to give and whatnot. But learning to receive was definitely a big lesson of mine.
Mhm.
I'm
And
gonna,
also there's the piece about like, for givers, it almost feels guilty to not give when you, and so there's a learning there to stop feeling guilty about this, because you can't hurt enough to help someone else.
yeah,
Like if you're hurting, it's not helping someone else. So you first of all got to take care of what's going on within, and then you have something left over to give, right? Like it's, and it's a innate guilty feeling if you know that somebody needs more help, but they're maybe not accepting it anyway. So it's a tricky little road to travel, and just to discover it for yourself and how it works best for each person. But yeah, it's important.
yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you. I've got a question from no name. We didn't have a name, just a couple numbers, but I'm going to ask this. So there's a couple of layers here. One is this person experiences for 24 hours, they've got this blissful acupuncture high. I know that high. And then she seems to feel a polar opposite extreme low. And is this normal? And if it's normal, how can she avoid the blissful high and then the dive?
Oh yeah. Okay. And then she's also got a thing about using cannabis in conjunction with acupuncture.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So probably a couple of factors there. Although cannabis is very helpful and useful for many things, I wouldn't go for your acupuncture high. Because it's a bit of a coyote medicine. And as people who have used marijuana know, sometimes you feel tired and sometimes you feel hyper. And so it can mess a little bit with the energy flow in your acupuncture treatment. It doesn't mean you can't use it, but just not right before. And then on the other hand of that, if it has nothing to do with cannabis and you feel a high and then a big tanking low, there's a few things that could be happening. Because acupuncture uses energy, moves energy, it also uses energy. So if you are really depleted and tired, you might only need a few needles. And depending on your acupuncturist and if they're sensitive to that, it might have been too strong of a treatment. And so sometimes just backing off a little bit is more like right in the perfect zone of what you need. And then also sometimes if it's your like first or second treatment and it's just a big whoa, it's a bit of a healing, just what they call healing crisis, but it's really just like you're going through it and you need to rest. The other part about acupuncture that's interesting one is our nervous system. And when we're running on high fight or flight mode all the time, and then you have a treatment and it's like whoosh, puts you in more of that calm, restful state. Many people are not used to that. And it feels like all of a sudden you're not running on your adrenaline, then you're running on what you've actually got there. And it might feel like surprisingly tiring. So I would suggest rest in that day.